Hello, my name is Loki, and if you don't know me, I'm an aspiring YouTuber who started playing Roblox all the way back in 2018. So it would be amazing if you could like and subscribe for more analysis videos just like this one. Anyways, let's cut to the chase. If you've been playing for a few years now, like I have, then you probably know that in February of 2023, they announced a UI rework, also coming along with a sword and overall map rework. Eventually, they did release the sword rework, but it was dropped on February of 2024. Almost exactly 1 year later, 1 year just to post one solely longed update that millions of players were excited for. So the sword and semi-UI reworks dropped. That's great news. But you might be intrigued to know what happened to the big map update that was supposed to revolutionize Blox Fruits. Well, it never dropped. So what does this actually mean? For many, this is the start of the death of Blox Fruits. I mean, the community was barely getting informed about what was going on behind the scenes. And due to that lack of audience input, this started to tear the player base apart. And this is evident in the concurrent users dropping down like an awakened phoenix. Oh, hang on? You've never used Phoenix before? Well, that alludes into my next point, but we will get into that later. Now, about the CCQOs, this number pre-Twitter post was about 450 to 500,000. But after the post, and almost unforgivable delays, this number slowly dropped to 300 to 350,000. It's clear by this statistic that the community was fed up with the nonsense the developers were dishing out a whole light year away before it actually made it into the game, so players started moving to games like Project Slayers and Shindo Life. Games I used to play, by the way, so if you want any bids on that, let me know. Now back into it. This isn't the first incident of these false promises and delays. The most notable is the pre-V4 update, where it got delayed once again. Even if the update was a massive hit in terms of the overall player count, the community started to truly diminish. V4 was supposed to be a way to end fights quicker, but the transformation, pun intended by the way, led Blox Fruits into a downward fusillade of a lack of skill, because of the Leopard and Doe V2 updates coming about around the same time as this. Now let's talk about the Dragon update, the one with the most controversy by far. Dragon tokens and the subsequent delays led to the CCCU reducing day by day to 300,000 after the hype dissipated a few months later. The tokens were the ultimate scandal, which involved massive amounts of backlash because essentially they took $50 from people overnight, which once again displays the devs' abundant cruelty and rooted ways of living to never miss an opportunity to gain some extra cash when they're literally millionaires. There were several things wrong with this update, with the most talked about being the overpowered meta such as Dragon, Yeti, and Gas, just to name a few. Albeit the fruits I've just mentioned are nerfed now, but back then, it was just absurd for all that spam to exist, forcing players to quit all over the globe. Now, a good thing that came from this was that a few months later, the first bulletin was launched on March of 2025, which can be found on the Gamer Robot website. This bulletin encouraged developers to inform the masses about the next updates coming to Blox Fruits, which, can I add, is so much better than one-sided Discord or Twitter posts. Even though I have briefly touched upon this previously, you must be wondering, since Blox Fruits has implemented a system where they can reach out to the players, responding to negative and positive feedback alike, why are they currently sitting at less than 200k CCQs? Well, that's because
the hackers and exploiters, or whatever you want to call those brain-dead scumbags. As we speak, they are infesting our beloved game just because they want to make things easy for themselves whilst speedrunning to max level. And not to mention, sometimes they are even bots who steal bounty from others by just M1 spamming, ruining the experience for those who just want to PvP, so of course many players quit because of these fraudulent actions. Man, I remember when the masses said Phoenix was no skill. Now people say it's skilled, but I believe it's semi-skilled due to it having up agility and healing but lacking combo potential and damage output. I want to quickly address the faults of the linear grinding system and other problems revolving around it, which even devs like Styles noted were stagnant and overused. This is because you have to travel from A to B to complete the same quests. P2W is also a huge factor when it comes to grinding, because if you're rich or even famous, some people can just buy ostentatious fruits like Dragon without much worry, making it unfair for others and somewhat have an enjoyable time. A great example of this is when Penguins Zero got gifted Perm Dragon by the sycophantic wizard himself Yuzov to not leave in the first 5 minutes. But to be honest, that all pales in comparison to the real reason why Blox Fruit's numbers are decreasing at an alarming rate, and it isn't because of hackers, the basic grinding system, or even the toxic players, which I don't even need to talk about. The true problem is games like Grow a Garden and Steal a Brainride, which, don't get me wrong, are great games achieving absurd accomplishments, but 22 and cuss. Really, Roblox? Thanks a lot, because a simple game like GAG is essentially running the new empire of the Roblox industry, causing devs to be lazy just because simpler is better. And on top of that, the anime genre peaked back in 2023, so it kinda makes sense that it's dying out with no new updates across the board. Now about the fruit reworks, which include Rumble, Pain, and another unknown fruit which I might talk about in a future video. Coming along with the next update is the first step into a new era of Blox Fruits. This could be true if they actually plan to balance the battlefield and dish out weekly updates that they have promised years beforehand, which will start with the summer expansion. But inevitability, the true catalyst, is the Rumble fruit. Many players, including myself, absolutely adore Rumble with its highly versatile kit in PvP and its legacy as the best fruit in the history of Blox Fruits, marking the era of Update 14. Many OGs say was the pinnacle, the most popular game on Roblox. So with that being said, if they decide to make Rumble a completely skillless fruit, similar to Gravity, this would not only disregard the words that are directly put on the bulletin, but will cause the players to lack trust in the devs even more, making only the hackers remain in a soulless community full of doubts, despair, and sorrow. Anyways guys, that is it for today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Bye.